I totally agree. We had a lady on last week who actually she runs a business where they help businesses start podcasts that are and make it an asset for the company. And we had a really good chat about what makes a podcast conversation so powerful. And it's really people on their best behavior. There's a lack of distractions. Um, it's instantly an environment where you're not there for small talk and just facilitates a really good chat. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having one.
Me too.
Well, we are live and kicking, so we'll just get everything set up here and let's rock and roll. Cool.
Do it.
Welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're joined by the illustrious Jim Cebellico. He's a website and funnel designer. He helps people to scale their businesses and fulfill their life's purpose. Also, he's a published author. He's a partner in a sushi restaurant, which I'm very interested in, and he owns a bunch of multiple software businesses. So straight out of Long Island, mate. How are you, Jim?
Very good. Yeah, really good. And it was a nice intro. I'm excited for me too. That's
great.
That's all good things.
Well, they are all good things. You got a very interesting story, man. And I've been browsing through a bunch of your software businesses, Caption Box and Legit and all this stuff. Really, really exciting things you're doing there, man. But the first one I want to ask you is I'm a dad myself. Anyone looking at your background knows that you're obviously a passionate dad, or listening. There's pictures of beautiful family behind you. Tell us the story behind your motto, no more half cakes.
Yeah, I would love to actually. It's man, when I started in business, I had this like dream that when you define success in a business, you look at it as the house, the bank account, the car, right? What everyone thinks of as success in a business. And when my son was born, I sort of thought maybe what I should do is just really put my head down and just work as much as humanly possible to be able to build up as much of a nest egg and as much security in dollars as possible. So that way, when he's 4 or 5, I'll be able to take some time away and be able to spend time with the family then. And I started doing that, and I was leaving for work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would get home at 9 o'clock at night, and I missed a lot. But I thought it's not that bad at this point in time. Like, he's not doing a lot per se, right? That was my mentality at the time. So let me just work really hard right now, and then I'll enjoy the fruits of my labors later. And ultimately what happened was, it was his birthday. I came home at 8:30 at night, and I wanted to sing happy birthday to him right before we all went to bed. And my wife pulled out the cake, and there is a half-eaten birthday cake. And I mean, I'll never forget it. It's literally the wallpaper on my phone. I look at it every day. I have a picture of my 2 kids sitting behind this birthday cake, like trying to hold themselves awake, singing happy birthday to it. And what had happened was they sang happy birthday over the original cake at 4 in the afternoon when they came home from school, and he was with his friends. But I missed it because I was out chasing cars, house, money, success. But I wasn't present in my family. I wasn't present for my wife. I wasn't present even for myself, right? I was just a shell of who I really should be. I was just a work machine. While that might be great for producing some results, it wasn't actually producing success in the term of like a living legacy. I had no relationship with my family, with myself, with my kids. And that really hit me. So what it kind of evolved into for me is this sort of motto that you can't have any more half cake moments, and recognizing them in the moment that they're happening. So it's not like, just an example for this podcast, for you it's morning time, for me it's 9 o'clock at night here. Like, my kids wanted to go in the pool after dinner. We're like, oh Dad, let's go swimming. And instead of me saying, no, I got some stuff to do because I have a podcast to do tonight, I figured out how do I move things around to be present for my family to accomplish both, right? To get the business stuff done, to be able to be a dad, and to be there for both things, because I don't want to look back at this moment in a couple of years and say I should have been there for my kids, right? I should have spent time swimming instead of whatever nonsense I was going to do in the first place. So that's the story behind No More Half Cakes.
It's a very powerful story, man. Very powerful indeed. And thank you for sharing that one. What a motivator to change the way you do business, right? So how have you made changes in your business since that moment to be more present with your family while still maintaining the success that you had?
I think the thing there a lot of people get wrong is they try and do the whole work-life balance thing. And that work-life balance is something a lot of people talk about, but it's not balance, because balance, I feel like those are always two opposing thoughts, right? You have one on one hand, and when one goes up, the other one has to go down. And to me, it's more about figuring out harmony. Like, how can they both work together so that both of them can go up at the same time? So it's really been trying to figure out, how do I structure the business in a way that I can spend time with my family, that I can go when I have to go to a client meeting, I'm able to also go with my family. Like, we're able to make a family trip out of it. We're able to do all these things together, and also creating that legacy in the business for my family. It's not just we're growing a business for the sake of increasing our bottom line revenue, but we're growing a business for the impact that it has on my family, on my clients' families, on my clients' customers' families. And just looking at the bigger picture of that really helped to kind of bring it back to a point that just made it better all around. And I know that's kind of hard to put into words, so I'm hoping that made some sense. But the short story of it is, I think when you focus on being genuine and authentic and doing the right thing by people, the results kind of just take care of themselves, like without forcing the issue and trying to figure out a way to just do it for the money. And we spoke before about coaching. A lot of people will get into coaching for the money aspect, but not to make an impact. And I think that if you have genuine intent that you want to help people and grow them as humans and as coaches and whatever else, those are the most impactful coaches, because they're actually in it for the right reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, the coaching industry is a beautiful industry of beautiful people for the most part. The problem is that we talk about a lot here, because there's no real barrier to entry to call yourself a coach. You can just slap a label on yourself and go. A lot of people really struggle to turn their passion into a business. And there's so many different competing gurus out there telling you the only way to start a coaching business. And we've both heard it. We're both in marketing, and we know that there's a lot of different ways you can market your business. But according to every guy online, there's only one secret you need to know for a 7-figure coaching business. And it really, really, I struggle with that now, being about 8 years in. I know that through my tough years, there wasn't just one secret. It was, incremental steps. So I want to talk to you about that, because I know that you mentioned you started your first sort of quote business when you were 8 years old, mowing lawns, and you've been through the ringer with lots of different ventures in lots of different industries since then. What's that, 28 years ago? And so, if you don't mind me mentioning your age on the podcast, you look fantastic. Is there a common theme that you've noticed between all of your successful businesses, whether it's a marketing agency, a software, or a sushi restaurant?
Failure, I think, is the answer to that. And I know that seems like a contrarian answer, but trying new things, not being afraid to fail at them, and understanding the faster you fail, the faster you'll succeed. Like, I think that a lot of people, especially in this age, want to build this like instant overnight TikTok business where they're just going to say, hey, I've got a business idea, put out a couple posts on social media and be a millionaire tomorrow. But it just doesn't work that way. And I think that when you're able to fail a lot, you're able to learn more. Like, and I know that may seem obvious, but the more time you spend working in an industry, working in a business, failing, trying new things and seeing what works, what doesn't work, you're able to kind of learn from your mistakes and grow. And I think the benefit that I've had personally is being involved in so many different industries and failing a lot in all those different industries. You learn what works and what doesn't work, and you get creative ideas that you can apply between industries. So some things you might learn from working in a restaurant that you can apply to working in a web design agency. There are different things that you can learn from dealing with people, dealing with vendors, but it's not without the failure. And I think that that's a really important part that a lot of people skip over. They look at like the overnight success and they think, oh man, that person just got really lucky. They were able to kind of create this business out of nowhere. But they don't see all the failures from the past 28 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I like that answer. And people say all the time, failure is an important step to success. And then you get some people saying, I'm not even going to fail. I'm going for success. Like Grant Cardone will be like, I don't want to fail, man. Why would I want to fail? So it's interesting. It's a very humble answer, and I love it that you said that. I thought it was funny that you mentioned there was a difference between your things you've learned in your restaurants to the things you learned in a web design agency, dealing with people, that sort of thing. Because I actually used to own a cafe and a catering company, and I used to work in restaurants for about 12 years. So the online space is very different. But what I actually learned this morning was I actually hired a new team member this morning, and I brought her on full time, and she doesn't quite have all the skills I need her to have, but she's got this incredible work ethic. She was up at 2:30 in the morning for our phone call. I didn't even realize it was that early over there. And she'd prepared a slide deck for me to show me all this stuff. And she'd done her research on my company and everything. I know my kid's going bonkers in the background, by the way. And the thing that I said to her was like, when I was an apprentice chef, I was hired not because I was a good chef. I was hired because I said that I could work hard and I would listen to instructions. And that, skills can be taught, but attitude can't. That kind of thing. That's really stuck with me as I've started building my own team. And it's interesting that you said the correlation between restaurants and web agencies, because I'm there right now. So you must have a fairly big team, or quite a few teams across your various companies.
Yeah, it's a good mix of people across different spaces. And I think the nicest part about that is the way that we all work together. It's not I'm the boss, you're the employee. It's we are on a team with a common goal, and it's not, hey, I want you to work because you're going to make me more money. The way that we have it kind of set up is more of a team based. So everyone kind of has their own side businesses, their own side hustles, their own things that they're working on, and we kind of help support each other in that. So it's a little different of an approach, and I think it has to have a little bit more confidence in finding the right people, because a lot of people are not going to be able to just trust any person you find off. When you're hiring someone, it takes a little bit of time and experience to figure out how to trust the right people with your business, with your customers, with your reputation. But I do think that's kind of where the years of experience come in, with understanding how to work with people, how to find character. Like one of the quotes that resonates a lot with me is hire character, train skill, which is what you said before, right? You want to hire someone who has an excellent character. Most people can learn any skill. You could learn to be a chef, you could learn to be a web designer, but if you don't have the right character, you're not the right person, you don't have the right core values, you're not going to fit in. And that's kind of one of the larger things that I've seen, is finding people who share a common set of values with you, and who are on the same set of goals, right? Because they're going to work through the bad days, the good days, because they understand what you're doing it for. And I think when you can get everyone kind of on the same page, that's when you're really able to kind of build that team that's going to be able to make an actual legacy.
That's really cool. So your team members across the various companies, are they a lot of them partners in Caption Box and Legit, and like there's like 7 or 8 businesses on your website, bro.
Yeah, there's a bunch. And yes, the answer to that question is yes. Over time, it started, this current core set of businesses that I'm in right now started with a web design agency, J. Lewis. And that web design agency was doing marketing for the restaurant. It was building connections for Legit. And then, so like that core group of developers at J. Lewis will do the development work in all the different, different SaaS products. And, it's this nice system where kind of everyone's able to eat and kind of grow together. So it's nice to be able to operate in that way.
There's a nice kind of connection between all your businesses. It seems like you just mentioned a nice flow from the top to the bottom, not bottom, but sideways, outwards.
Right.
So on saying that, you've got a lot of different ventures, a few different SaaS, like software as a service, for anyone who doesn't know the acronym, businesses, plus stuff outside of the web, such as the restaurant we've mentioned. When do you believe is the right time to start a new business without being detrimental to your primary business?
Whatever the answer I'm going to give, plus a couple of years. And, I think a lot of people make the mistake of wanting to have multiple streams of revenue. And it's great. But the problem is they start too soon before the first one is really up and running by itself. And it's whether it's shiny object syndrome or whatever the actual issue there is. I think for certain people who kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit, and where it's easy from like the marketing brain, where you come up with the idea and just want to start it tomorrow. The problem is oftentimes we don't really build the systems and processes in our first stream of income, our first business, to be able to step away from it. I think a really good test there is take a week off, go on a cruise, right? So where you're not able to be in touch 24/7, your business is not going to fail. It's not going to go away. It's not going to just totally disappear in a week. See what happens, right? Do you have people you can trust to be able to run your business if you're not there, if you're out of touch, if you're focused on something else? And for a lot of people, I feel like they're going to realize I'm not really at that stage yet. Like you think you are, but you're not yet. There's no shame in that. But recognizing your weaknesses and recognizing the areas that you can still improve on gives you the opportunity to improve. And I think it's related to what we said before about failure. People are afraid to fail. Failure has been made out to be this like really bad thing. But I think it's important, especially as coaches, to be able to showcase your failure, to be able to be public with it and say, hey, I did a thing, didn't work like I planned. This is what I learned. And I encourage you to go out and try stuff and learn stuff too. But until you test the system, until you go out and see, right, is my business able to survive on its own without me being in it 24/7? That's when you're going to really know that it's actually time to be able to step away a little bit, trust someone else to run the day to day, and then work on your second stream.
That's crazy good advice, man. Crazy good advice. Take a week off. I took like 3 days off recently, 2 of them being the weekend, but 1 being a whole Friday. And I pulled it off, which I was quite happy with, because I've got with my agency, you build things and then you maintain things, and then you build them again and then you maintain, and I kind of managed to build a lot of stuff in the week so that could maintain over the weekend. And that felt pretty cool as a new dad. I've got twin 2-year-olds. So not a new dad, but a busy dad. And I think your No More Half Cakes story is what is the exact vibe of why I want to be doing that. It's not so I can go out and chase more money. It would just be so that, like you said, you want to drop everything and go swimming on a Thursday. That's a huge factor, I believe, in success. And my team, they all have young kids as well. And so I'd like basically all of us to be able to take a week off, and the business to, keep going, like, not at the same time. All of us take a week off in our separate households, and the business to keep going. Because I believe that we're on the same page, man, with what is a successful business, successful life. Obviously, money provides choices, but a lot of us probably saw over the last couple of years that family time doesn't really come back, and jobs and businesses can. How did you find your work life changed, once we weren't allowed to leave the house, and once you were kind of forced into more time around your kids? Did you manage to maintain the business more? Did you make choices to work less? How did that look for you?
I mean, it was definitely an adjustment, because like that was right around the time where I was kind of shifting that perspective. So for me, it really forced me into, all right, guess what? You're going to be home now. You're going to be in this environment, like you, your wife, your kids. You're in that situation, and there's no like not going anywhere. You're just in it. So you got to figure it out, right? And as this mentality, typically lends itself to, you throw yourself into a situation you're not really comfortable in, and you figure it out. So for me, I think it was great to sort of rip the Band-Aid off and really just force the issue. But the more time I find that I spend outside of work, right? Because when you're in business, you're always working, you're always on call. But I think the more time that you're able to spend outside of the work environment and just in the world with your family, go for a walk, go to a park, go do something, it helps to give you new ideas, new perspectives. It helps to kind of free you up for your subconscious to think about things, that you're not just sitting at your desk forcing yourself to try and be creative or be in that zone. And obviously there does come a time where you still have to sit down at your desk and do stuff, but being able to kind of put yourself into a situation where you can step away, where you've got people and systems and processes in place to be able to step away, spend some time outside of that, really frees you up. And I think that a lot of people look at spending that time as selfish, right? They think, oh, going for a walk is going to be too selfish. I got work to do. I can worry about that later. Or spending time on a family vacation, I should be working. But I think when you really are intentional about how you spend your time, when you're really present with your family, when you're really present at your business, then it allows you to really get into that mental space where you can figure things out, and be more creative and be more present, not just, fumble through in that work-life balance thing that so many people try and fail at.
Yeah, what was interesting, when in Australia here, there was a time when they started shutting down sort of daycare centers as well, but not shutting down, but saying like, whenever possible, parents keep your kids home from daycare as well. And I read an article of a lady who said that I'm now being, terrible at being a mum, at being a wife, and being an employee. I'm doing all three terribly because I'm trying to do all of them at the same time. And, half-assing, two things, rather than just, knowing when to, like you said, create that harmony, when to stop working, be present, and when you're working, be present with work. It's easier said than done. But I definitely found like early on in my business, I'd try and do the family holiday and then, be away, and then realize that I'm not running my business well, and I'm not supporting my family very well either. Setting aside those times and making your business goals longer rather than more short term, I think, and realizing that things will happen in their own time, and I don't need to hustle 80 hours this week. I think it's a big lesson, man. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm just venting to you, but you seem like a guy who's 5 years ahead of me in business, because you're 5 years older than me. You've got a young family. You're a digital guy, and we seem like we've got similar goals. So yeah, I just seem to be offloading my own feelings on this one. But let's bring it back to tangible, bro. So marketing, we're both in marketing, and you've been in digital marketing for a long time in various forms. So how long have you been in the space of marketing digitally? Is it 10 years or so?
Yeah, we'll call it about 10 years.
Yeah. So we're both here to grab attention. We're both here to create a feeling in a buyer and move them towards a purchase or a consultation. In your years of running companies over the past 10 years or so, how have you seen buyer psychology change as we're moving away from traditional, more long form media into short, sharp things like Instagram stories and TikTok?
I think the biggest trend I've noticed is a trend toward recognizing authenticity. And, I think consumers in general are getting a lot more attentive to when they're trying to be sold to. So being genuine with your offer, being genuine with, hey, this is my product, this is what it does, and this is how it helps, has a lot better net effect than buy this because it's cool. Like the people who sell shiny objects, it's great for the moment. And I think we saw a lot of that with NFTs. Is a great example of that. How many people created these NFTs and like this digital art because it was a way for them to make quick buck? And how quickly did that fade away? People don't want to be sold to, they want to be helped. Like they don't want to be sold a bill of goods they don't need. A lot of these people are really struggling with financial issues, with mental issues, with family issues, and they're looking for solutions to their problems and ways to improve the quality of their life. And I think as someone in the digital marketing space, you have a certain obligation to not allow yourself to be used in a way that you're going to be taking advantage of people, because you've got a particular set of skills where if you apply it in the wrong way, you can sell people stuff they don't need. You can sell people stuff that they're going to be wasting their money, they're going to be wasting their time, they're going to be degrading the quality of their life. And I think at the end of the day, we have an obligation to ourselves and our customers and their customers to be responsible with that and perform in such a way that we are genuinely improving the quality of their life. And that's a step that we at our agency actually took fairly recently in firing a few clients that just did not serve that same goal. So we at this point only work with people who have a product or service that genuinely improves the quality of life of their customer.
That's a thing I really like about the coaching space, is that generally when we help a client make more money, that means they're impacting more lives positively, which is good, which definitely adds a layer of fulfillment to it. Especially when you see testimonials from clients, from their clients, and you see the way they're changing lives. That's really, really cool. I mean, I'm all about merchandise and e-commerce and that kind of thing, but in the coaching space, there's something really, really cool about, helping someone sell out a retreat and then seeing the photos and testimonials come back from that retreat and knowing that you helped make those connections and that you could have put someone's life on a better path. It all helps with the bigger picture of why you go to work every day, which is lovely. You spoke about firing clients. It takes a lot of confidence to fire a client.
It does. It's not always an easy thing to do. And sometimes we struggle with, man, do I want to give up the income, right? You've already sold the client, they're already a customer and they're happy to pay you. Why should you just turn money away? But you kind of get to a point at the end of the day where the quality of life that you feel when you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day and go to sleep knowing that you've done everything you can to help all the people you've interacted with is worth more than any amount of money. And I think that that's something that a lot of people have to experience to really truly understand. And there's another experience in my life where I looked up to a certain person as an icon in the industry. And I was fortunate enough, so I thought at the time, to be able to get an opportunity to work together. And once that happened, I then kind of came to look behind the curtain and see exactly how they operate privately. And I realized it wasn't always the right thing, right? So they had a reputation for being successful and making money, but it wasn't genuine. It wasn't helpful. It wasn't authentic. And working with them, I was making a ton of money, which is great, but I didn't feel right about it. It didn't have, this quality where I was proud of the work that I was doing. And I didn't want to like go home and tell my family, hey, this is what I did today. I sold a bunch of stuff to people who didn't need it. Like that didn't feel right, and for my own kids, I wouldn't want them to be doing that. So why am I setting that example? And I think that that's obviously not going to be the case with every client. Some clients are just awful and deserve not to be worked with. But when you look at it from that light, when it's a client who just doesn't fit with your core values, then I think the decision is a lot easier.
Yeah, and it can be a no hard feelings kind of thing, right? It can be like, you're going to do great. We're not the right fit for you. And that's because everyone's got their own values. And that's why it's a great market. There's so many, different agencies to partner with, so many different companies. Everyone's going to find someone who aligns, which is the cool thing about, I guess, the internet these days. Is it's kind of a buyer's market. There's plenty of people to work with, but that also makes it great for us as business owners, service-based, meaning that, once we've gotten to a level of confidence and we've figured out how to find the red flags with people and make our way through a few bumpy flights, we can say no. And it always feels a bit icky at first to say no to someone, or the heart starts beating a little more. But in the end of the day, the stress it takes off your shoulders of having that one client who, you just know there's something that's not right. I had a guy who he was a wonderful dude, and he was a client early on in my agency, kind of when I was taking sales because I needed some money to grow. And I loved everything about this guy, except for when he was talking about sales calls, he would say, I'll see if I can take some money off him. And it was just the way he framed that, to see if I can take some money off him. It didn't sound right. It just felt like he had no care for the people he was working with. And lo and behold, that guy didn't do very well. He never seemed to make many sales and never seemed to keep many clients. So it's a funny attitude, man. So before we go, dude, because I feel like we could just sit up and talk forever, but 9:30 at night for you, and I want you to get on with it. Authenticity in marketing, in running a business and being authentic is huge. But in terms of your message to your audience, why do you believe that telling the truth, no matter what level you're at, is so important when marketing your own business?
Man, there's a lot of answers to that question. I think authenticity goes hand in hand with self-confidence for a lot. I do believe that way more people struggle with self-confidence than anyone realizes. And I think that there's a lot of people who are afraid to be authentic because they're afraid of how they're going to be judged. So for me, I kind of feel like if I can set an example that, hey, you can be your authentic self and not be apologetic to be genuine and be who you are because your intentions are pure, that allows other people to, even if it's 5%, man, it allows other people to express a little bit more of that, and to just spread that a little bit more, and the awareness of you can be your authentic self and it's okay. Like the right people are going to find you and align with you because you are your authentic self. And I think that that's when you really find the success in your business, in your life. And like, you've got 2 little kids. Do you want them growing up thinking that they have to pretend to be someone else to be liked? Well, the answer is no, right? You want them to be their authentic selves, and you want them to feel loved, seen, supported, heard. You want them to be confident in who they are. And I think for us, setting the example in our business as fathers, as community leaders, like you have to be that way, and you can't be that way in your family and not that way in your business. You can't be both. You have to be who you are in all the places that you are. So that, I think, to me is why authenticity is so important, is because I can't really hold authenticity as a core value if I'm authentic in my house but not, when I go to work. It has to be all or nothing.
Bloody beautiful, Jim. Bloody beautiful. I can tell you're a super. From the moment you popped on my screen, I just knew it. I just knew you're going to be a lovely guy to talk to, and yeah, you've absolutely proved me right, man. Thank you so much for being on today. And I know you got a lot of stuff to plug. I know you got a lot of businesses, but is there one of your, like, all your software businesses are super cool? Like, I love Caption Box. I thought that was so interesting. Is there a particular one of your softwares that you think people should check out if they're in that solopreneur stage, overwhelmed by all the hats they need to wear? Is there anything that you think we should look at to help them on that part of the journey?
Legit is the answer to that, I think, is in that it was really built to help people in all sorts of ways. So from the consumer side, to be able to find people to outsource to who are reliable, who are legit, pun intended, and from a seller side, to be able to make some more money, to be able to support your family. Like, there's a lot of cases of people we've seen who they lost their job and they were able to supplement their income or replace their income. There are people who started freelancing and who were able to donate to charity in their community. There are so many ways that that's been impactful beyond just, I need someone to build me a website or design me a logo. You can do it. It's the trickle down happiness effect, as my partner calls it, in that, like, there are so many different benefits of providing that platform where people can connect to get more stuff done, to get the impact in all these communities. And it's a global community that people can do it from their house. So for anyone who needs to get things done, or is looking to make a couple extra bucks, like, it's a great opportunity for people to just connect. And I think the cooler part, if I could, is the community aspect, because that's something that we're really proud of there. It's not just a website people go to buy and sell stuff. It's a supportive community of people who actually look after each other. And that, I think, is a really cool side effect, if you will, of what we've built there, is that you've got people who are all over the world who support each other financially and emotionally, who've never met in person, but their common connection is they connected through Legit. But the impact that you're able to have in other people's lives just by being genuine and kind and authentic it's just awesome.
It's a very nice looking site, man. It's a very nice looking site. And I'm going to be a convert from one of the other major freelancing websites that we all know. I'm gonna head over from that one and check out Legit, if you'll have me, because it seems like a lovely place to come. And yeah, I've got a growing team, but we often need those little jobs done that don't fit, your employees. So, dude, thank you so much, Jim. Honestly, really, really lovely conversation. We align very much, and it's always fun when that happens. You make me feel calmer just by looking at you. And I can't thank you enough for being on the show today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I really appreciate your time.
Cool, man. Well, get some sleep tonight. Have an early to bed when you can. And for anyone who is watching live or listening to the recording, thank you so much for being here. We'll be back next week with another episode of Coaches to the Moon. So thank you for stopping by.